Today we're going to talk about the second part of the energy cycle, which is cellular respiration. So remember, for the first part we had photosynthesis, and it could be done only by plants because it happens in the chloroplast. Cellular respiration is going to happen in the mitochondria, and it can be done by both plants and animals. So just remember, plants don't need animals. They can do the whole energy cycle on their own. But animals need plants to do the first part of the cycle. So it's going to happen mostly in the mitochondria, and it's going to take the glucose that was made in photosynthesis, and it's going to slowly break that glucose apart in a series of steps, those biochemical pathways. And it's going to slowly break down step by step and release a little bit more energy each step of the way. And remember, our energy molecule is ATP, adenosine triphosphate. Here's our equation for cellular respiration. It should look really familiar to you. Look close. Hopefully you notice that all the key players, all the chemicals in this equation, are the exact same ones as in photosynthesis. The only difference is it's in reverse. Okay, photosynthesis and respiration have the exact same equation. The only difference is which direction the arrow is pointing. So some important vocabulary words that go with respiration is aerobic and anaerobic. Aerobic simply means that it requires oxygen because of that prefix arrow. And then anaerobic, an means without, aero means oxygen. So anaerobic does not require oxygen. All right, step one. Just like photosynthesis, you need to be able to walk through step by step by step the process. Step one of cellular respiration is called glycolysis. Lysis meaning to release or loosen. Glyco referring to the glucose because we are going to break glucose. So if you break that word down, it tells you what it's doing. Step one is incredibly fast and it's anaerobic. So this is the only step that we do not need oxygen for yet. And it's the only step that's not going to happen in the mitochondria. It's going to actually happen out in the cytoplasm of the cell. Okay, so step one is going to take the glucose that we got by eating a plant that did photosynthesis, and it's going to break it in half. And you're going to make two pyruvates, okay? A pyruvate is just a chemical chain made of 3 carbons, which came from breaking the glucose, which had 6 carbons. Now, to break that glucose, you're going to have to use 2 ATP. You're going to have to use 2 of those batteries, okay? But you're going to make 4 ATP. So you have a net gain of 2 ATP. So this is sort of that idea that you got to spend money to make money. You got to use a little ATP before you can make a lot of ATP. Okay. During this step, we're also going to make our high-speed taxicab. Here we have NAD, which is an empty taxicab. And once it picks up that high-energy hydrogen from breaking up that glucose, it's going to become NADH. Okay? NADH, that's a high-speed taxicab because it's got hydrogen in it. Then we're going to move on to step 2, the Krebs cycle. Okay, this is going to occur in the mitochondria. So from now on, we're going to be inside the mitochondria. And this one is aerobic. It does require oxygen. So we're going to take those NADHs, those high-speed taxicabs, and we're going to take those pyruvates that we made, and we're going to move them into the mitochondria for step 2, which is called either the Krebs cycle or the citric acid cycle. 2 words mean the same thing, Krebs cycle or citric acid cycle. So what we're going to do is we're going to take those 2 pyruvates, which are 3 carbon chains, and we're going to send them through a biochemical pathway that is going to slowly break them down. And in every step of the way, we're going to use enzymes. Remember, enzymes are special proteins that help things happen faster. Without enzymes, there would be no life. Okay? So we needed oxygen. Remember, this step is aerobic. We need oxygen because as we break down these carbon chains, remember what we want is the hydrogen in them. Remember C6H12O6. What we want are those hydrogens because those are what have the high energy stored in them. Leftovers are carbon. Okay, we've got to do something with that carbon because carbon doesn't like to be alone. We can't just throw carbon out on the street and say, well, go deal with it. We have to make carbon happy. The way we do that is we give it a new partner. We took it away from its hydrogen partners, and now we're going to breathe in oxygen, and we're going to go, hey, carbon, I know we took your hydrogen buddies, but hey, meet these guys, O2. And carbon and O2 are going to hook up, and they're going to become carbon dioxide. Carbon dioxide is a waste product. It is garbage, and we're going to throw it out. But we can't just throw out that carbon. We got to make carbon chemically happy first. So we hook it up to some oxygen and turn it into carbon dioxide. And we keep the hydrogens that we wanted, and we put them inside of taxicabs. So we have our NADH, but we also have another taxicab in respiration, which is called FADH, who becomes FADH2. So in this step, we've created lots of high-speed taxicabs, NADH and FADH2, and we've created a little bit of garbage, CO2. So here's your outcomes. NADH, high energy. FADH2, high energy. ATP, what we really want are charged batteries. And a little bit of CO2 garbage. Okay, that was step 2. Now let's move on to step 3. We're going to take these high energy taxicabs, NADH and FADH2, and we're going to take them over to step 3. Step 3 is still inside of the mitochondria, and it is also going to require some more oxygen. Step 3 is called the electron transport chain. Okay? Yes, this is the same electron transport chain as in photosynthesis. You're going to be using some of the same enzymes to pass these taxicabs along. And at the end of the electron transport chain, we're going to meet the exact same enzyme, ATP synthase. Okay, remember we know that synthase is an enzyme because it ends in ase. Okay, so these high-speed taxicabs are going to go flying through ATP synthase, which is like a revolving door. You can see the actual molecule here. And there's going to be so many of them passing through so fast that it's going to spin so fast that it's going to slam together tons of ADP and phosphates to make lots of ATP. Now, textbooks will argue a little bit as exactly how many ATP are going to be made, but your accepted number that is given most often is 32 ATP in this step, okay, 32 ATP. Now, what happens is after these high-speed taxicabs with their hydrogen passengers go flying through ATP synthase and we've made all that ATP, we don't need these hydrogens anymore. We need to get rid of them. And so we're going to bring in some more oxygen, and we've got to make those hydrogens happy. We can't just throw hydrogens out the window, out in the cold. We've got to make them happy. So we're going to use oxygen. So we're going to hook hydrogen and oxygen up to make water. So hydrogen is going to be happy because it has a new partner, and we're going to have a stable waste product that we can just get rid of, which is water. Okay? So why is cellular respiration so important? Because you take one glucose molecule, one C6H12O6, and you create a total of 36 ATP. 2 during glycolysis, 2 during Krebs cycle, and 32 during the electron transport chain. So that's a lot of ATP for one glucose molecule. And just think, anytime you eat something, you eat a salad, you're eating millions of glucose molecules. And you're able to multiply those molecules by 36 to get that amount of ATP, which is awesome. And your waste products are carbon dioxide and water. Why are those waste products important? Because carbon dioxide and water are the waste created by respiration. But they are the things that are needed. They are the reactants for photosynthesis. So photosynthesis needs what respiration creates. And then what photosynthesis creates is what respiration needs. So the two are a cycle. One creates what the other needs. The second creates what the first one needs. It's really cool because they feed each other.